Haven't done one of these videos in a while. It's favorites from the collection, and it's the Wrestling Collection Edition. Well, I don't have a real big collection, but I have got quite a bit this past year. And yes, I do have the WWE Network now, but, you know, if I still find some DVDs or Blu-rays or even VHS, wrestling related, I'll probably still pick it up. Here's one that you can't get on the WWE Network, a documentary called 350 Days, Legends, Champions, and Survivors. It's got a lot of Bret Hart in it, Greg Valentine, Paul Orndorff, and a bunch of stuff from the 70s and early 80s. Basically about their career on the road, 350 days a year. And they go through some cool stuff and things that you might not know about wrestlers. And I love documentaries, so definitely have to go with this one, the 50th anniversary. This one's great. I haven't really watched any of the matches on here and stuff, but the documentary is really good, and I recommend it if you find it. Got this for like $5 at a flea market. Like I said, you can probably find a lot of this stuff on the WWE Network, but you know me, I still like to have the physical media, and who knows, it might not always be around, and it might, you never know. And I always have to have this on hand. WrestleMania 3. Hogan versus Andre the Giant. And the Macho Man versus Ricky Steamboat. Best match probably ever. Still lives up to today. Still yet my favorite WrestleMania of all time. No wrestling DVD collection is complete without the Macho Man. Right there, the Randy Savage story. Great documentary on here, and of course, great matches. Also a great one is the Ultimate Warrior Ultimate Collection. What can you say, man? Ultimate Warrior, yeah, he was out there. He was loud. He was crazy. He was colorful. He's one of my favorites from the 80s and the early 90s. It's a great documentary on here, too, of course, talking about his life and his beginning with Sting as a tag team partner back in the day. Never knew that until I actually watched this. Best of the Saturday Night Main Event. Man, I tell you, I used to stay up when I was a kid back in the days with the Saturday Night Main Event. Came on Saturdays, of course, because it's called Saturday Night Main Event, but it came out at 10 o'clock. And I loved watching the Macho Man, Junkyard Dog, Hulk Hogan, Andre. The mid-80s Saturday Night Wrestling was great, and it was way before Raw. And they did try to bring it back for a few years, and it didn't do so great, but you just can't beat the 80s with Saturday Night Main Event. Another great documentary right here, Andre the Giant. A lot of people know a lot about Andre. You've seen a lot of different shows, but this one goes in depth pretty good. And picked it up. I think I ordered this one. Yeah, I did. I've seen it before out at FYE, but I picked it off of Amazon. Yeah, Andre Giant was just great, even bigger than you imagined. It's a good sports documentary. If you ain't never seen it, you got to check it out. This is another good one and favorite, the greatest wrestling stars of the 80s. I really don't have to explain nothing to you. You can just look on the cover and know what's going on here. 3-disc set, great set. Got a lot of great matches and stuff on it. It's really cool. And you can't go without the 80s without going with some 90s too. Greatest stars of the 90s. You know, when I was watching wrestling, when I first started watching wrestling, was in the mid 80s, from 85 to like 92 was my favorite. I stopped watching it for a few years, and then I got married And my baby's mama got me into this again in like 98, and I watched the Attitude Era, and a lot of this has got to do with that stuff in the late 80s and 90s. And you know, I don't regret watching it back then. Of course, I'm still watching it now, but the Attitude Era was great. And speaking of the Attitude Era, this is another great one. This is from 1997, the dawn of the Attitude Era. I mean, just some great matches on here. Great sit-down discussion with a lot of these superstars from back in the day in 97. And it's basically about the beginning of the Attitude Era. Great documentary on here. I picked this one up at Walmart a few years ago. If you ever see it out, get your hands on it. And that's basically it for the, well, let's go one more. Yeah. Macho Man right here. This is the Ultimate Collection. You gotta have some Macho Man in your collection. Great matches on here. Just some cool stuff. Of course, with Ric Flair, Hogan, $1 Million Man, Jake the Snake, Bruno Sammartino, Honky Tonk Man, Shawn Michaels, Ultimate Warrior. Everything's on here. And great for, it's a 3-disc set too. I got a lot of 3-disc set up here. As you can see, all these right here are 3-disc sets. WWE's been doing that a lot lately. But anyway, wrestling, I will still buy on DVD, VHS, and Blu-ray. I only got 3 on Blu-ray right now. Even though I got the WWE Network, you might not always have it. You might not always have the WWE Network, so I still will pick up stuff here and there. And before we go, check this out. The Best of Monday Night Nitro, WCW Volume 2. I gotta get in Volume 1. Rousey picked this one up for me really cheap. And it's a really good set. You ought to check it out. Of course, Goldberg and all the other gangsters there. Macho Man, Hogan, Ric Flair. All the WCW stuff, since we've been talking so much of the WWE. And that's it for this episode from Favorites from the Collection, the Wrestling DVD, Blu-ray, VHS collection. Till next time.